Today we're going to compare the cameras on the Galaxy Z Flip7 versus the Oppo Find N5. The cameras on the foldable phones aren't as good as regular phones, but they are getting better every year. Now these two have their own strengths and weaknesses, but I think the Oppo Find N5 has the better overall camera experience that's closer to a regular phone. And mainly that's because it does have a better telephoto, which goes straight into 6x. And it can zoom all the way out to 120x, which is crazy, but I don't think many people would use that option unless they want to see something from very far away. And also you can tell that it does have a lot of AI processing, which does help make the picture look a bit cleaner. On the Galaxy, zooming up to 6x still looks pretty good, especially during daylight, and I feel like most people won't really notice the huge difference, and the only time you will see a big difference is if you're using that 6x to take a picture of a subject that's pretty close up. Besides being a bit more cleaner, you do get the typical telephoto look where the background is more compressed and it does have a bit more background blur. So in this situation, this is where you will see the biggest difference when both of them are at 6x. So I feel like if you are shooting with a lot of objects or even portraits, then I feel like this will probably be the better look and would be more useful to you. Now for the HDR, it does look like Oppo does have a bit more lift in the shadows, so the overall image looks more exposed, whereas on the Fold7, it does have a more contrastier look to it. For colors, it seems like the Oppo does lean towards the warmer side, especially in the midtones. Now what if you're not a telephoto user? I will say the Oppo Find N5's Ultrawide is probably the weakest camera out of the three. So if you find yourself using the Ultrawide more just because you like taking ultrawide selfies and using it to vlog, then the Galaxy seems more of your fit. So that's the phone I would tell you to lean towards too. For portrait mode, the 1x seems to be a bit more contrasted on the Oppo, and then once you zoom into 2x and 3x, it kind of switches where the Galaxy has more of that darker contrast. I would say they're both really good, and it feels like the Oppo does have a more softer look to the skin, so maybe people would like that more. Now for low light, they both perform pretty closely to each other, but I would say I'm leaning towards the Galaxy more. For the telephoto photos for 6x, the Oppo is cleaner, but it's not as sharp, and I know the Galaxy is more processed looked and you can see more noise, but at least the details are sharper, and I feel like most people would pick the sharper image than something that's kind of blurry but less noise. Or maybe the stabilization on the Oppo just needs to be improved. For example, for this picture here, the sky is pretty noisy on the Galaxy, but at least you can tell the details on the windows and the building much better than the Oppo. Now if you're shooting in a much more well lit situation, I feel like the pictures on the Oppo is just slightly brighter with the telephoto. And for the quality, you probably won't be able to see the difference unless you zoom all the way in. And I feel like people buying foldable phones don't really prioritize the camera like that. Now moving on to a low light video, of course ultrawide is not going to be the best looking image, but to me it looks like the stabilization on the Oppo is just a bit better. Moving on to the wide camera, they both look a lot better than ultrawide, and they both look pretty close to each other. I feel like the only difference that I can see is the Galaxy is just a bit more exposed in the shadows. Now moving on to 3x and 6x, it looks like the Oppo is just sharper and just better overall quality. Moving on to daytime, they both are really good and you will probably see little to no difference between them. And for the ultrawide, it is just slightly wider on the Galaxy. For the wide lens on the Oppo, it does look like everything just more exposed, so the shadows will be just a bit brighter. And just like low light, the 3x and 6x is still going to be better on the Oppo. You can tell that it's just cleaner and clearer. Overall, they have their strengths and weaknesses. If you like telephoto, then I would suggest looking at the Oppo. If you prefer using ultrawide more, then lean towards the Galaxy. So I'm just going to sign off with some selfies. Let me know which one you prefer. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.